All right. As if being put through WCW 2000 was not enough in the past couple weeks, now we are going through Perk Angle. You saw us review New Year's Revolution, where Perk Angle went crazy in the chamber, and now we watched the famous Bestiality Sex episode of Smackdown. Now, was that the sole reason that you wanted to watch the Smackdown, Austin?
What'd you say?
Jesus Christ. Were you fucking masturbating to Charmel or something?
No,
I said,
you cut
is.
out.
I did not cut out. You're capping. Um, I
No,
said.
I'm not.
I said, is the reason you wanted to watch the Smackdown because of the bestiality sex thing?
Pretty much, yeah.
There you go. Austin loves bestiality sex.
Nah, 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 nah.
So watch out, Charmel. I was playing. but so this was quite the interesting episode of SmackDown. The good old fist stage, which I like. Um, this was the May 12th, 2005 episode. If you're curious, if you want to watch it, it's about an hour and a half long. And the show opened up with Eddie Guerrero, because this was the episode previous to this was the one where Eddie Guerrero turned on Rey Mysterio and he turned heel. So the show starts off with a recap of everything that happened between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, and we see that Eddie beat the living shit out of Rey Mysterio and left him bloody and battered. And so Eddie comes out to open SmackDown, and he's wearing like a suit, and he gets in the ring and starts doing this crazy promo about how he's saying like, "Oh, you made me do it, Ray. I didn't want to hurt you, but you made me do it." And saying like, "Oh, like now my eyes are open, and you and all these people were trying to take my love and my passion and my energy and my Latino heat." And he was like, "Now I got it back. I've got it all back." And they had already announced before this segment that Rey Mysterio would be, he wasn't going to be on this episode of SmackDown, which he wasn't, and that they were going to do Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at Judgement Day, which was their pay-per-view coming up, I believe the week after this. And um, they announced a couple matches for Judgment Day on this show, but so Eddie had Ray's mask that he took off of him the week prior, and it still had Ray's blood on it. And Eddie was basically saying like, he was like, "Think about your kids, Ray. Don't make me take their papa away from them. Don't make me hurt their daddy again." And um, then he was saying about the mask thing. He was like, "If I were you, Ray, I wouldn't show up at Judgment Day." He was like, "Just last week and right now, I've got your blood on my hands, and if you show up at Judgment Day, it'll be your life." And that was pretty much Eddie's promo to open SmackDown, a cold open. Um,
It's a pretty good promo.
yeah. I mean,
I
it's
think
Eddie.
some of
It's
the
Eddie Guerrero.
promos.
Anything he does is great.
Oh.
Except, well, we'll get to that later tonight. But, but, um, then what happened after this? Did it go to a match after this, or is there another promo?
it went to a match, Heidenreich match.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Fucking Heidenreich, of all people, and he faced fucking Spike Dudley for some fucking reason. Spike Dudley looks like a fucking garden gnome. I don't know why. But the whole it wasn't much of a match. The whole thing was basically like Heidenreich came out. He started doing this promo about how Spike Dudley isn't his friend and how everybody in the arena is his friend. And then we see fucking Heidenreich say, "Oh, who wants to be my friend?" And he goes outside and goes into the fucking crowd and grabs a child and brings him into the
I don't
ring.
know. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't let my fucking child be picked up by Heidenreich.
So he brings the kid into the ring. We find out the kid's name is Jordan, and he Heidenreich reads one of his poems to Jordan, and he basically the poem is basically him saying he's looking for a fight, and he's like, oh, that was a poem by Heidenreich, and then he asked Jordan, he's like, oh, do you want to be in my corner tonight? And Jordan's like, yeah. So he just stands outside the ring, and then Spike Dudley gets back in the ring, and then they have a match. And you wanna tell him how you were impressed with Heidenreich, Austin?
No, I mean like his black hole slam or was it fallaway slam? What the fuck ever it's called. It was actually pretty fucking decent. It looked pretty good, but
Hmm.
besides that, I didn't really pay attention. But
Yeah, and Heidenreich beat Spike Dudley, and then he celebrated with Jordan, and that was pretty much that whole segment in a nutshell. What was next after that? I know they did
then Booker
several,
T
yeah,
and Charmel.
several promos for them.
Booker T and Charmel arrived to the arena, and Booker T's just like basically just getting ready for his match, and then he starts fucking slapping Charmel's ass and shit like that, and it ends the segment with them kissing on the couch.
Yep.
And then we have fucking Eminem and Chavo and
Oh
Melina
God. Jesus Christ.
talking, and basically talking about how Paul London is gonna find any partners or whatever. Then we cut to fucking Kurt Angle.
Hmm.
And I think you should describe this one.
So, Kurt Angle was being interviewed by one of Austin's favorite people,
I
Josh
fucking hate
Matthews.
Josh Matthews. Fuck Josh Matthews.
This was
Massive Brain,
2005 Josh
please.
Matthews,
I am better than Josh Matthews.
young
Please,
boy
Massive.
Josh Matthews, and he was interviewing Kurt Angle, and basically he was trying to ask Kurt Angle a question, and then Kurt Angle he was like, you better watch what you say. He's like, the last time you did an interview with me, you got out of line, and I had to handle it. Uh, and then Josh Matthews was like, oh, your actions last week against Charmel, and because they showed a clip where he tried to fucking put Charmel in an ankle lock because he's fucking Perk Angle at this point, and he Josh Matthews is like, oh, some people are calling that terrible and degrading and something that for somebody who's a former world disgusting for somebody who's a former world champion, uh, pro athlete, and a former Olympic gold medalist, uh, that they would do. And Kurt Angle he was like, well, I don't give a damn what anybody says. And Kurt just starts going off about Booker T, and he, fucking God. So he starts talking about how he was like, the only reason I put Charmel in the ankle lock is because she attacked me first. He was like, she slapped me in the face, not just once, but over and over and over again. And like you could tell Kurt was like something was going on because eyes were twitching like this whole fucking promo, and God, and
He
then he
says,
starts.
you know, everybody
Okay.
has their vices.
Mm-hmm. And then Kurt Angle starts talking about like he's like I have something I want to say about Booker T, but I don't know if I can say it. And he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. He said, Booker, I want to have. And then he stops himself. He's like, no, I don't think I can say it. I don't think I can say it. You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. And he was like, Booker, I I want to have. And then he stopped himself again. And he was like, I really don't know if I can say this. He was like, you know, I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm gonna say it. And he's like, Booker, I want to have sex with your wife. And the crowd starts booing. And Kurt Angle's like, and I'm not, and then he starts getting into it, he's like, and I'm not just talking about any kind of sex, you know, I'm not talking about just regular sex, you know, I'm looking for that raw, animalistic type sex. And he was like, Booker, I not only do I want to have sex with your wife, I want to have bestiality sex with your wife. Oh, and his eyes were twitching during the whole thing.
And
Fucking
and he, there was one more thing. He's like, I want to have that perverted sex, like that. He was like that. He put that much into it, and
I don't know
his
what this
eyes were
fucking
fucking.
gimmick was for Kurt Angle because
I don't
when
know.
we watched New Year's Revolution, like Kurt Angle had this like wrestling machine gimmick where he was saying how he hopes Iraq wins the war against the U.S. and how he's not too fond of the black people. And then you go back a year prior, and then Kurt Angle's talking about how he wants to have bestiality sex with Charmel. And I'm just like, what was Kurt Angle at this time? Like, what the fuck? Like, Jesus fucking Christ,
Well, we
man.
move on from that, and next we have Paul London, Hardcore Holly, and fucking uh
See if you remember.
Charlie Haas
It took you a second.
versus
Neither one of us knew who he
versus.
was at first.
We thought he was fucking Sean Stasiak.
Yep.
That's how much WCW we've watched. Versus Eminem and Chavo Guerrero by Molina. The match is fucking boring.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, when we were watching fucking Chavo, Austin was like getting tired and he was like, I can't believe they had this guy signed until 2011. And then fucking Paul London fucking he didn't have any wrist tape for one, and two he had this like green attire on with like green boots that had tassels on it and it just looks so weird. Like, that's how the best way I could describe it is just it looks so weird. And fucking Charlie Haas just looked like a fucking creator wrestler. Like he looks so generic.
fucking Hardcore Holly was just there.
Oh, and before I forget to mention it, Taz was on commentary for the show, and boy, did he let you know how he was feeling about Melina during this match. During the entrance when she did the split, Taz was fucking simping.
Taz is just all around fucking simp, dude.
I'm surprised he doesn't simp like that when he's on commentary for AEW.
Well, if he does that, he'll get canceled like JR does every fucking week.
At this point, I just say, fuck it, Taz, just do it. What does he
But
got to lose?
fucking
Everybody loves Hook anyway.
yeah. Well, next is
Oh, by the way, we should
fucking
mention that the way the match ended was fucking so Hardcore Holly and Johnny Nitro were on one side of the ring, and then Charlie Haas and Joey Mercury were on the other side, like on the outside, and then fucking Chavo or no, Paul London tried to do something, and then Chavo countered it into like a roll up pin, and then he used the ropes to get the 3 count, and then fucking Hardcore Holly, he sees the 3 count, and he still chops the fuck out of Johnny Nitro for no reason, even though the match was over. Hardcore Holly just said, "Fuck it," and just right to his fucking chest, and you can see Johnny Nitro selling it as he's trying to like celebrate too.
Yeah. Oh, then fucking next was JBL cutting a promo, coming out and cutting a promo
Hmm.
about John Cena and his rap album that just came out that
Yep.
Tuesday. And
Yep.
fucking John Cena comes out there and attacks him, and out of fucking nowhere, of course, it's one of those segments where fucking like multiple people from the backstage area comes and tries to break him up out of fucking nowhere because WCW 2000 wasn't enough. Mark Jindrak comes out there and is trying to like help with everything and shit.
Oh, it wasn't just Mark Jindrak. There was other people there, like fucking Shannon Moore was also
Well,
there.
does anybody care about Shannon Moore? We care about Mark Jindrak, and you know that.
Yeah. Like Mark Jindrak was the only person I was really paying attention to in this segment.
Jesus.
It was basically like one of those big brawl segments where like two people are brawling and then they bring out the whole roster to try to separate them, but it doesn't work. But then eventually they do get them separated. And the whole basis of this was John Cena and JBO were gonna have a match at Judgment Day for the WWE title, and it was gonna be an I Quit match.
Yeah. And then after that was Eddie Guerrero versus a special 107-pound
Hmm.
competitor. You want to tell me who that competitor was, Devon?
Well, at first, neither one of us noticed until I picked up on the announcer saying his name, and I was like, wait, no. And then I saw him, and I was like, oh my god, that's him. So keep in mind, this is 2005. So it's Eddie Guerrero versus the 107-pound. You ready for this? Zombie Princess Jimmy fucking Jacobs. Jimmy
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
Jacobs, and he got his ass fucking kicked. He didn't get a single move in this match. Eddie Guerrero whooped his fucking ass, and then he put the Rey Mysterio mask on him and pretended he was Rey Mysterio and was beating the fuck out of him. He gets a chair, puts it in the ring, and the referee, which was Charles Robinson, by the way, who we just saw in WCW, and he's telling Eddie like, no, don't do it. And then Eddie like goes to use the chair on Charles Robinson. And Charles Robinson's like, fuck this, I'm getting out of the ring. And then Eddie puts the chair down and he picks up Jimmy Jacobs and does a fucking brain buster on the fucking chair. And it looks so fucking disgusting the way Jimmy Jacobs hit the chair. And so the match ended in a DQ. And this is where Austin said that this means that technically in the record books, Jimmy Jacobs has a win over Eddie Guerrero by DQ officially. Just think about that.
It's in the record books.
And it's not like this is like fucking like crazy Ring of Honor Jimmy Jacobs or like later down the line Jimmy Jacobs or anything like that. This is fucking 107-pound fucking jobber Jimmy Jacobs. Like, and Eddie fucks up another person and he starts talking. He starts doing a little promo where he's saying like, he was like, if I were you, Ray, I wouldn't show up Sunday. And he's like, if you do, your kids are gonna have a new daddy, Odele. And then like, then they went to the break and then came back and Michael Cole and Taz were sitting there and Michael Cole was like, well, as you can tell, it's silent in the arena right now. Everybody's in shock at the disgusting and deplorable, heinous actions by Eddie Guerrero tonight. And Taz is like, I don't know what's going on with him, man. He's got something wrong with him. And then I think that's when they started talking about John Cena's album again.
Yep.
And fucking, like, they were dick sucking this album. They were like, oh, it's out now. Go order it here. It just came out Tuesday. And then Michael Cole started talking about how, oh, my favorite song on the album is called Bad Bad Man. And and then he was saying something about Mr. T, and Michael Cole was like, I pity the fool. I pity the fool. It was so cringe. And then Taz was like, is that Mr. T? And Michael Cole was like, yeah. And Taz was like, I don't think that's Mr. T, Cole. And then then they just cut to fucking. So they show like, what was his name? Gary Coleman, and he was like sitting in a diner talking about how something about the '80s, and then we see John Cena. Basically, to preface this, they showed the entire fucking music video for Bad
Yeah,
Bad
really.
Man.
Honestly, if you want to know what they showed, just fucking look up Bad Man John Cena and the trademark
Yeah.
music video, and there you fucking go.
The music video in a nutshell was basically John Cena, the trademark, and this other guy. They were being the A team, basically, in a
Yeah,
nutshell. And this was about like fucking 5 minutes long, and they showed the entire fucking thing. So,
yeah. So there was that, and then then we come back from that, and who I thought we would never fucking see in this review
you
series,
know,
Matt fucking Morgan.
and
At least not in WWE, by the way.
this is not the
Like,
Matt Morgan I was expecting either. I had no idea that he had this gimmick. So Matt Morgan comes out, and I'm just like, oh, it's Matt Morgan. And then fucking, of all people that it could have been, fucking Funaki comes out, and then he gets in the ring, and then Matt Morgan starts cutting a promo, and I notice he starts stuttering. I'm like, what the fuck? And Austin was like, oh no, it's his stutter gimmick. I was like, stutter gimmick? You want to tell him about the stummer? Oh my god, stutter gimmick. I'm stuttering talking about the stutter gimmick.
well, you see, this is a stutter gimmick. Was. No, I'm not even gonna, I'm not gonna do that shit. But his stuttering gimmick was Vince thought it'd be a great idea to bring him up from OVW. Keep in mind, he was in OVW like when Jim Cornette was in OVW, right?
Hmm.
So this is another example of what Vince has done to Jim's like stars that he makes. So he fucking just gave him a stuttering gimmick for no fucking reason. Like that's what he thought would be good TV. And
Jesus.
it lasted 6 months. And keep in mind, he still had the stuttering gimmick when he got drafted to Raw. But he got drafted to Raw, and then he teamed with Carlito, and then got fired.
Yep. What a WWE run. But so he
Now he's a
basically,
politician.
yeah, so he basically does a promo on Funaki and is like, he's like, he's like, what is your nickname? And Funaki's like, I am Funaki Smackdown's number one something. I don't remember what he said.
Announcer.
Yeah, and Matt Morgan was like stuttering, trying to say that basically like all these people are laughing at you, Funaki, because they can't understand what you're saying, and that you have a stupid voice, and they're laughing at the way you talk. Keep in mind he's stuttering while saying this, so the people are actually laughing at him. And then Matt Morgan was like, he says something. He was like, "Do you see that?" And fucking Funaki was like, "All I see is this," and he fucking poked Matt Morgan in the eye, and then
Yeah, and then
started fighting.
fucking Matt Morgan just wrecks him with a boot. like a fucking
Mm-hmm.
clothesline, and then a elevator, and it's over.
Yep. And fucking Matt Morgan got a jobber match. So that was the second jobber match of the night
And next was Carlito's Cabana.
with the Big Show. Oh, so they were promoting this throughout the night as like Carlito's got an offer for the Big Show that he can't refuse. So Carlito comes out. We see the whole cabana set up, which is for lack of a better term, cool. And Carlito gets in the ring and he starts talking about like, oh, welcome back to the cabana, and uh, tonight's gonna be a big night because we have a big guest, the largest athlete in the world, and saying how the cabana is where big things happen. And he's like, speaking of big things, here the cabana is happy to have the Big Show. And then Big Show comes out wearing his fucking singlet. He's got the straps down. He's fucking bald. He's got his stomach hanging out, and he's got a fucking like handlebar mustache. And he fucking comes out, gets in the ring, and then he asks Carlito about like the offer, and Carlito is basically saying like we could work together and be unstoppable, and showing how the Big Show needs him. And they were showing clips of Big Show from his sumo match against Akibono at WrestleMania 21. It was like we seen more of the Big Show than we would have liked to see tonight.
Yeah.
Um, and Carlito's like, if you were with me, like stuff like that wouldn't happen because we'd always keep things cool. And then Big Show's like, well, I don't play second banana to anyone. And Carlito's like, who said anything about bananas? We don't have bananas here. We only have apples. And then fucking basically Carlito was saying like, he was like, I need big backup. He was like, with you by my side, I would be unstoppable. He was like, I mean, we would be unstoppable. And then Big Show basically declined the offer, and uh, Carlito was like, all right, I didn't want to have to do this, but you didn't accept the offer. And he was gonna bite the apple and spit it in Big Show's face, but Big Show grabs him around the neck for choke slam, and then Big Show grabs the apple from Carlito and starts biting into it, and he gets a whole bunch of the apple in his mouth, and he's like chewing it, and you're thinking, oh god, he's gonna spit it all over Carlito, and Carlito's like trying to cover his face, and then Big Show like lets go of Carlito, and he starts like vomiting up the apple and holding his stomach, and everybody's just like, what's going on? And Carlito is looking at him like, what the fuck? And then like Big Show like drops to the ground, and he's like holding his stomach, and then Carlito picks up the mic, and he was like that's what happens. uh you were too dumb to you were he's like, I knew you weren't smart enough to see how great my offer was. And he was like, it's like the saying goes, um oh, what the fuck was the saying? something about
I.
something about like in every bunch there's one bad apple or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, and unfortunately it looks like you got the bad apple, and that's cool. And then he fucking kicks Big Show and dumps a whole thing of apples on him and
Keeps
spits the
slapping his
apple.
fucking neck.
Yeah, he's fucking slapping the back of his head, fucking like some I like you cut G type shit. And he left Big Show laying, like holding his stomach in agony. And Carlito walks up the stage, and the announcers are saying that fucking Carlito injected poison into the apple, and Big Show ate it. And then they go to the break, and they come back, and they're like, the Big Show had to be rushed to the hospital to get his stomach pumped.
No, a local medical
Oh yeah,
facility.
well whatever, to get his stomach pumped from the poison apple. Uh,
and, and then we go for the big finale: Kurt Angle versus Booker T.
mm-hmm. So before
Now,
the match, Booker T was in the locker room with Charmel, and he was like uh telling her like, I want you to stay back here, and I don't want you involved with this at all. I'm gonna go out there and kick Kurt Angle's ass, and then they kiss, and Booker T walks out of the locker room. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. I was just gonna say that this match is just basically a normal match until the final like moments of it.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't really think there's anything else to mention besides the final moments of this match.
yeah. Uh. So Kurt Angle hit an angle slam on Booker T, and then he starts looking around, and Kurt Angle like just gets out of the ring and like runs to up the stage through the curtain into the backstage area, and Booker T's like stern trying to get up. And then they show Kurt Angle running towards the locker room area, and at this point me and Austin are like, oh god, oh no. And so he goes to Booker T's locker room, and he kicks the fucking door open, and fucking Charmel is like, what are you doing here? And Kurt Angle tells her to shut up, and Kurt Angle fucking starts closing the door slowly, and Charmel's like, no, no, and fucking Kurt Angle has the most fucking sadistic fucking pervert smile I've ever seen on his face as he closed the door. Oh,
Oh man.
and then fucking Booker T. Okay, I want to point something out here that maybe neither of us thought about. Why is it that the past three fucking wrestling things we've done on the podcast, Booker T has been in the main event?
I don't know.
What is this pattern with Booker T and just being on the most like awful shows?
I don't fucking know.
But so uh Booker T goes backstage, and he kicks open the locker room door. Charmel's like screaming and like curled up into a ball, and then he tries to go console her, and Kurt Angle fucking blindsides him, and he beats the fucking shit out of Booker T. He keeps throwing him up against the locker over and over again, smashing his head into the locker, and then like Charmel yells at Kurt Angle to get out, and Kurt Angle fucking storms out of the locker room, and Charmel's like holding Booker T, and she's like screaming for somebody to help them, and that's how SmackDown went off the air. That was the
Oh,
bestiality sex episode of SmackDown.
Jesus Christ. Oh,
Honestly, it wasn't really that great of a show, but it wasn't like WCW 2000 bad. But at least that
no.
was so bad that every single thing on the show was entertaining. But
Besides Slambury.
fucking this, like, the Kurt Angle shit was entertaining. Somehow the fucking Matt Morgan shit was entertaining. The Jimmy Jacobs shit was entertaining. The only thing we cared about in the John Cena JBL thing was Mark fucking Jindrak, and then the rest of the show was just kind of boring.
Well, I mean, Eddie Guerrero's stuff was kind
Well,
of.
yeah, Eddie Guerrero's promo was really good, but
Yeah.
overall, just a meh SmackDown. Not the worst I've ever seen. Not great either. It
Well,
just felt like it just felt like it was like an episode of like, fuck, we're doing this just to get to fucking Judgment Day, pretty much.
yeah.
But
Well, I mean, it's your
yeah.
turn to pick the next review. So,
Um. Well, I gotta think about that. I'm not sure.
I guess we'll have we'll make it a surprise, I guess, for next time then.
Oh God, I feel like I'm gonna find something, and I'm either gonna find it intentionally for it being bad, or I'm gonna like accidentally stumble across something, or I'm gonna like find some shit like WCW and have no fucking clue what I'm getting into.
Oh no.
We did find something today on Peacock. It was called WWE Smack'em and Oh, it was something like that.
Smack 'em and whack 'em or
Yeah,
whatever.
Smack 'em and Whack 'em from 1993, and
That's
the
more of a
descript.
fucking masturbation reference than fucking the five nickel shuffle. Smack 'em and whack 'em. What the fuck?
So it had me curious because the fucking description said that there was something about Yokozuna explaining his diet. So I don't know, but who knows? I was telling Austin like when we were watching the Jimmy Jacobs part, I said, you know, it would be really shitty to watch if we watched like 2005 fucking Velocity or some shit. Maybe that's where Mark Jindrak is wrestling at.
Oh dear God.
But I don't know. We'll by next week we'll have figured out what I picked for us to watch, I guess. Um, but yeah, that was your review for the May 12th, 2005 Bestiality Sex episode of SmackDown with fucking Park Angle going crazy. Oh Christ, I can only imagine what's gonna happen next. But that being said, back to the podcast.
Back to the podcast.
I want to have bestiality sex with this podcast. I'm not just talking just bestiality sex. I want perverted type sex with this pod. I was playing. Jesus fucking Christ.